Good morning. It's Saturday the 10th of May 2025 and today I'm in Weston-super-Mare. Prince Consort Gardens. Prior to 1862, Prince Consort Gardens was known as Flagstaff Hill and was a popular local landmark owned by the Smythe Pigott family, where local people like to walk and enjoy the views. Right, let's go and have a look at the views then. Over here. So this is Burnbeck Pier. Yeah, sadly in a poor state now. It's been like this for a long time. Of course, this was the original pier in Weston-super-Mare before the Grand Pier opened further down the bay. Yeah, it's looking very sorry, which is really sad. There's an information board over here, so let's go and have a look. Burnbeck Pier project. After many years of neglect, North Somerset Council took ownership of Burnbeck Pier in July 2023. Burnbeck Pier and Island will reopen to the public, attracting visitors from across the region to this nationally important heritage site. It will also ensure that the RNLI's vital life-saving lifeboat station can operate once again from the island. Due to the high tidal range in the Bristol Channel, Burnbeck Island remains the safest and most effective location to launch lifeboats in Weston-super-Mare and help save lives. Since July 2023, a significant amount of work has happened. This includes specialist surveys and developing proposals for the restoration to inform a series of planning applications. Emergency and safety works have also been carried out. Oh, that's brilliant news! I never ever thought that any work would be done on this pier because it's been neglected for so long and it's got in such a bad condition that I thought it's going to take millions and millions of pounds to put work into that. But it looks like something's actually happening. It says it's reopening, so I hope it will reopen. Oh, that's fantastic news. Yeah, it should be open. It deserves to be open. It's a fantastic old pier, despite looking in a sorry state now. Oh, that's really good news. I'm really chuffed about that. Ah, lovely. Okay, so over there, got a clear shot of Bream Down. Fantastic. But we're heading over that way. Heading over towards Knightstone Island, and just beyond it, you can see the end of the Grand Pier. So this is Marine Lake, and I'm going to cross this causeway that crosses between the end of the lake and the sea. So, at high tide, this causeway actually does get flooded, so it's not always possible to walk over it, but the tide is quite low today, so I can walk across it without any issue at all. So, let's go. Climbing up onto Knightstone Island now then. Got some lovely luxury apartments here on Knightstone Island. I bet they're fantastic. Imagine living in one of those, really close to the sea. I mean, part of me would love to live in one of these flats. However, can you imagine it when it gets stormy on the sea and it's high tide? You'd have waves lashing close to your window, or perhaps lashing against your window, I don't know. That would make me a bit uncomfortable. But apart from that, it would be a fantastic place to live. And there's the Grand Pier, fantastic. Yeah, happy memories have gone on to the pier. When I was very small and living with my grandparents, they used to love their caravan holidays. And I remember Weston was a regular place that we used to come to in the caravan. And in those days when we were staying in Weston, we used to love going around the amusement arcades. And of course, there were amusements on the pier here. It was also like a mini fairground. I remember riding on the ghost train and the crazy house and the helter-skelter. But I used to like the prize bingo. I used to love playing prize bingo in those days. Don't think you get it now in amusement arcades. Yeah. Oh well, happy memories of caravanning holidays in Weston-super-Mare. Let's continue with the walk then. Okay, well, my walk takes me up the hill there, behind all the houses, up onto Worlebury Hill. So I'll make my way up there now. Well, I won't try and get inside this church. There's something going on inside, so I don't want to disturb it, whatever's going on. Okay, I'm nearly at the top of my climb now then. At the end of Trinity Road, I followed a footpath climbing steeply up steps. Oh, I think this is the only major climb on this walk though. Look at that view. Isn't that fantastic? Just one more look at that view before I move on. Absolutely beautiful. A great panoramic view of Weston-super-Mare. Okay, well I'm at the top of my climb now. I think the path is levelling out a bit as I walk through the woods here on top of Worlebury Hill. If you watch my recent films that I made around Bristol, you'll know that I lived in Bristol for a very long time, 16 years overall. And the last of those most recent Bristol films I made was one around Ashton Gate and Southville. And if you watch that, you'll know that I lived in Ashton Gate for a year between 1995 and 1996. And then I left Bristol and then returned after 3 years and moved back to Bristol in 1999. And that's when I lived in Southville. So where did I leave Bristol to move to and then return again? Well, it was here in Weston-super-Mare, not here in the woods. I lived in a flat. No, so in 1996, that's when I moved out of Ashton Gate in Bristol and I came here to Weston-super-Mare to live for 3 years. And then I moved back to Bristol in early 1999 when I lived in Southville. So I was trying to get a job in the Forest of Dean for many years. That's why I ended up in Ashton Gate for a while. But I was hoping, because I knew it was always going to be a temporary move to Ashton Gate. However, by 1996, I was having no success at all with finding a job in the Forest of Dean. At that time, I'd been working for Avon County Council for 12 years, and at the end of March 1996, the council was being abolished, and it was going to be replaced by new, smaller unitary authorities. So I thought, okay, well, I need to think about what I need to do now, really. I could have worked for the new Bristol City Council. There's a dog barking in the background, very excited. Yeah, so I could have stayed with Bristol City Council, which would have meant that I would have stayed in the same job that I've been doing for the previous nearly 8 years. It was very much a dead-end job. However, I opted to work for North Somerset Council because I thought, well, that will get me out of that dead-end job. And it also meant that I could actually live in Weston as well, because North Somerset Council headquarters were based in Weston-super-Mare. And I thought it'd be quite nice to live in Weston as well and to do a different job. So it was a good way of getting me out of a rut that I was stuck in for nearly 8 years, work-wise, and work for a new council. So that's why I came to Weston to live. So at the end of March 1996, I moved to Weston, got a nice flat, and then 2 days after I moved here, I started my new job in North Somerset Council.
My path through Weston Woods eventually came out onto Worlebury Hill Road, which I followed to its end.
Okay, I've reached Monk's Hill now then, so I'll walk that way.
Following Monk's Hill for a short distance, I turned left along Woodspring Avenue, where I reached the top of Monk's Steps.
Oh, this is a steep one. Go carefully down here. Blimey. Oh. Oh. Those steps are no good for anybody who's got big feet. Okay, I'm now in Kewstoke. Another beautiful church, and I do love the sound of church bells. Could stand here and listen to those until they finish, really. Well, I won't be going inside the church, sadly, because there's a wedding festival going on today between 10 and 4, so I'll just carry on with my walk. So Kewstoke is a nice pretty village outside Weston, and it's just at the back of Sand Bay, so I can imagine it must be quite nice living here actually, because it means you're close to Weston, so you've got all the amenities, but you've got the peace and quiet here. and you've got Sand Bay just over there. Okay, well, I have now reached Sand Bay again. Fantastic. That's where I was yesterday. There you go. So there's the Bristol Channel, or should I say, there's the mud and the Bristol Channel's down there somewhere. Oh, lovely. Okay, well, I just walked down towards the southern end of Sand Bay today. So during the 3 years that I was living in Weston-super-Mare, the walks I did locally mainly were around Sand Bay. I quite often did that walk onto Sand Point, the one that I did yesterday, but there were other local walks that I did too. I mean, again, whilst I was living in Weston, I still tended to travel over the Severn Bridge and do my walks in the Wye Valley and Forest of Dean because it was always my favourite place, but there were still some nice local walks here, and Sand Bay was one of them. I mean, it is a very pleasant spot, and when you get nice weather like today, it's unbeatable. Welcome to Sand Bay. Sand Bay is part of the wider Severn Estuary, which is a site of special scientific interest, of national importance for wintering and passage wading birds. The immense tidal range, the second highest in the world, and classic funnel shape make the Severn Estuary unique in Britain and very rare worldwide. The intertidal zone of mudflats, sandbanks, rocky platforms and salt marsh is one of the largest and most important in Britain. Well, of course, as I said on my last walk, this is really where the Severn Estuary becomes the Bristol Channel. So, yeah, Bristol Channel is down there. Yeah. I'm approaching the toll road now then. So the toll road runs along the coast and it goes round to Burnbeck Pier, so that's where I'm heading. But I'm following a path away from the road, but it just runs parallel to it. Ah, a nice straightforward route back to Weston now then. Lovely. Yeah. Could you see the Bristol Channel through the trees there? Or should I say the mud flats? See, you can see the water in the distance, but you see more mud than water. And this is the toll road here. Yep. Oh, a lovely road. I always loved driving along the toll road between Weston and Sand Bay. Of course, they still call it the toll road, but you haven't had to pay toll on this road for a long time. I think when I was living in Weston in the late 1990s, you had to pay toll then. Certainly years before that, when I used to come here with my granny and granddad for caravan holidays, it was you definitely had to pay toll then. Because you used to drive along this way, and as soon as you got to the edge of Kewstoke, there used to be like a little booth there, and you used to pay someone standing in the booth. Yeah.
after a 1.5 mile walk through the woods, I emerged onto the road again as I approached Burnbeck Pier.
Well, here I am back beside Burnbeck Pier again. So that's the walk done. Another fantastic walk then. Okay, well, I'll make my way back to my car and then I'll go back to my mum's. My mum actually lives in Weston. It's really funny because we never lived in Weston at the same time. I lived in Weston, as I say, between 1996 and 1999. And then mum, she was living in Bristol at the time. And then just 2 years before she retired, she had a job in Weston and she ended up moving here. And then she's still been here after she retired. And she's been very happy here. But yeah, we never actually lived here at the same time. So, but yeah, I enjoyed living in Weston when I was here. And hopefully on the next walk, we'll actually walk down the street where I lived.